Welcome to another 5-star edition of Props to Consider and Then Maybe Bet. I am your host. I am the paragon of virtue, Lou Betya, here for UFC 288, Cejudo versus Sterling. It's an all-star weekend. We got the Derby. We got a pay-per-view. I only roll with all-star guests for this kind of weekend. First and foremost, from this very channel, from the Uncle Weezy channel, from Propability, just the tip, Ask Uncle Weezy. We got Uncle Weezy. And from the DFS Army and the Killshot podcast with my Friday partner, Monk, we got Big Marley, Kyle Marley, king of the DFS. Gentlemen, I'll start with you, Weezy, first. Looking forward to the card. Are you happy to be here? The last time you were here, you didn't leave a mess, so everything should be just like you left it.
Yeah, man. I try. If I'm not clean, I'm nothing. So this is a great card. This is really fun. 14 fights still. So this is a treat for me. I've got a lot of spots that I like. When you got these 14 fight cards, something's always going to stick out, and there's a few of them that I like this week. So I'm looking forward to chopping it up with you and Kyle here.
Nice. And Marley, I did a DFS show last night as subbing for newly American Gordo Gambles on the Pub Sports Radio. So I don't get to break down DFS a lot. I do watch your show with Monk. This is a crazy good slate. And before we start, do you think we're finally getting you think we're getting one winner, or is this going to be like another 20-way chop at the top for the big guy?
Ooh, I mean, I always expect ties on DraftKings. But lately, it's been you leave $4,000 on the table and you could take it down solo. I don't do that. So I'm probably more likely to tie if I'm, leaving $200, $300 salary on the table, which is like most of my lineups. But we got 14 fights to work with. I think it's a great MME card. I want to make 50 lineups at least this week, just because I don't think there's a good, single entry that I really like. But there's a lot of different combinations with the core players that I like that I like to roll with. So I'm going to have a lot of lineups this week and just hope to get lucky.
Nice. I also want to mention that since you started doing the kill shot with Monk, he's been walking around the engine break room. He's got like a fur coat. He's wearing gold chains. The guy's like completely insufferable. No, I'm just kidding.
He does that at the DFS Army break room too, man.
I believe it. So anybody watching live, thank you for spending time out of your day. Want to do a quick shout out to the chat. We got Moyes. We got Addicted to Combat. My dude, Pat. We got Buffo on the beat, not Buffo. I remember that from the other day. We got my guy Dixon Sider, who knows I will be giving him same game parlay at some point this weekend. We got Brandon here. We got Nandial, and we got Jenna Marie. We got Michael, and we got Jenna Marie. Guys, thank you so much. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the MMA Manager channel. It helps us a lot. Please subscribe to everything I've put on the bottom. Please subscribe to Weezy and both of Marley's brands. I did throw DFS Army in there too. I figured you would not mind. All right, enough of this prattle. Let's get to the props. It's why people are here. If you've never watched the show before, we're going to talk about a few props that we like on this card. And I'm not talking like minus 120s. I talk about crazy, weird props. We're going to talk about the main event at the end. Bootsy's going to let us know if we're right or wrong. And then we're going to finish with a yam bag shot. And we're each going to give our Kentucky Derby pick. Do not follow anything I say on the Derby. I'm just here for it. Professor Chaos and Patty Mack in the house. All right. I might see him in a few hours. All right, Weezy, without further ado, what is the first prop to consider and then maybe bet for this card?
Well, I had said on my show the other day, Lou, and a lot of bitches out there are trying to rip me off and they're trying to copy me. Okay. And I said the Braxton Smith, Parker Porter Smith is not going to decision. All right. And now that line has went from minus 400 to minus 425. Your boy is moving the market, okay? So I love that one, but let's start with a little bit calmer of one here, just into the plus money a little bit. It's one of the two Uncle Weezy's ass shavings of the week, Kennedy and Chekwu to win by knockout. It's plus 155 right now on FanDuel. Look, I know what Devin Clark does well, and that's, win minutes. Really kind of hold on to his opponent, not stay at range. He's going to be fighting somebody that's going to look about 2 weight classes bigger than him. And we're starting to finally see Kennedy start to put the entire MMA game together, right? Because if he doesn't wrestle, he's just a striker. And sometimes he could be a little bit low volume, and sometimes he could be just a little bit defensive and not do enough. Well, now that he's mixing in the wrestling, I think the sky is the limit for him. And I think that he's going to find a spot somewhere. His knees, he could throw knees further than most dudes in the division can throw punches. And the way that he knocked out Ian Cutelaba in the last fight was absolutely savage. He lost that entire first round. And I do believe that Cutelaba is a lot better of a wrestler than Devin Clark is. And all you need to do to find that out is go watch the Devin Clark Ian Cutelaba fight. Cutelaba pounds his head through the canvas. So, yeah, I think Kennedy's going to get the job done here by knockout, plus 155, ship it.
Yeah, that was one of the more uncomfortable fights to watch, especially with Devin Clark's dad screaming like, get up.
Yeah, dude, no. He
like
told
to.
his dad, he goes, I don't know if I should go back out there. This dude knocked out all my teeth. Should I stop? And his dad looks at him and he goes, I don't know. Should you? Like the worst. That's like the worst father in the world. You're getting your teeth knocked out, and he thinks that you're going to make a comeback against this guy? Come on.
You got him right where you want him. Marley, you have any props for that fight for Kennedy and
I don't, not for that fight, but I do like Kennedy by knockout. That's what I ended up picking as my prediction. I think Clark is going to have to fall back on his wrestling. There's no way he wins this fight. Well, he's got power. I guess he's, got a puncher's chance for a knockout, but he's not going to win the minutes on the feet, I don't think. He's going to have to be landing takedowns here. And if Kennedy has improved his takedown defense, I mean, his takedown offense looked great against a kickboxer. So if he can just use that in defense here and keep that fight on the feet, I like him to get a knockout at some point along the way. He's got 15 minutes to work with. So I like that prop there. My first prop, I like curtain jerkers just in general. But lately they have not been treating me well, so I'll throw that out there first. But my first prop on the card is Johnny Munoz. This one's on FanDuel. You could do a double chance where you can just pick two outcomes. And I like Johnny Munoz Jr. by points or submission at plus 200. I think he's also going to have to fall back on the wrestling. I think he can control this fight on the ground or just lock up the submission at some point along the way. I was looking for, odds that are plus 200 or better. So all of them are right now at plus 200 or better. That's right there on the line across different sports books. But I think Munoz is very live in this fight, more so than Vegas does. And I think those are the two methods he wins by in this one. So give me Johnny Munoz Jr. by TK or submission or points.
All right. Weezy, you got anything on that as a prop for this card or?
No, I'm not really looking at that fight too much. I like Santos in that fight, but I don't like the price. I think Santos would maybe be minus 140 here. And that's about where he was way earlier in the week, maybe the middle of last week. And now, a lot of the money's coming in on him. But Arce picked him apart from range for 3 rounds, really made him look silly. And Castaneda was beating the shit out of him in the first round. So, I haven't seen the dude win enough minutes for me to want to lay that kind of juice on him. So I get the Munoz play for sure. There's a lot of value on the Munoz side this week.
Yeah, and that plus 200 is a nice little look. I don't know that Santos has a lot of decision equity. Like I'm on the Santos side too, because I don't know. I just like the guy. I don't trust Munoz's stand-up, but Munoz should have all the decision equity here. I do think the sub's live because Santos is like crazy, weirdly tough in terms of getting punched in the face, but you're getting choked out. There's nothing you can really do about it. So
yeah, you need air to live. That'll never change.
All right, let me see what my lowest one is here. I'm gonna go to Kron Gracie. His round 1 submission is plus 500 on DraftKings. If you just want to get a little bit of extra time, Gracie in under 1.5 is plus 350. Look, a lot of unknowns in this fight. We haven't seen Gracie in 73 years. He's training in the woods in Montana at like an undisclosed location. But I do know what I'm getting from Jourdain, and that is a guy that just loves sapping my bankroll no matter what I bet on his fight. So take this with a grain of salt, everything I'm saying. I just feel like this is a custom-made matchup for Gracie. Jourdain's even crazy enough to be like, cool, I'll play guard. Like, I'll play on the ground. Like, no problem. I'm talented. I've gotten a submission recently. And I think Gracie only needs 1 takedown to get a submission here. If he gets it in the first round, I don't see Jourdain getting up, and it's probably over. It's like I said, if you want that little bit of extra wiggle room, that under 1.5, and Gracie, it's plus 350. I don't hate that either. But Round 1 submission to me is plus 500. I also don't know what we're going to see cardio-wise from Gracie. I know with Jourdain, he used to be like my automatic round 3 bet, like GM3. But I don't know that I really trust him anymore to even get a knockout. He throws a lot of punches. He's thrown a lot of spin shit late, but none of it connects. It just looks good. I forget the fight he had. He almost got a third round. Was it Rojo? I can't remember the fight that he had where. No, it wasn't Rojo. It was sorry, give me 1 second here. It was
Burgos, maybe? Is that the round he just dominated in?
Ewell. No, the Ewell fight where like he tried to get him out of there in the third. But even then he dropped around. I mean, like he just doesn't start out great. So if Gracie's going to get it done, I do like it kind of early. Give me the round 1 sub at plus 500. Do you guys have anything on that fight props wise?
I don't. I think it's just hard to cap that fight in general with Gracie coming off a 3.5-year layoff and then striking in his last fight for 15 minutes against Cub Swanson, a better striker, somebody who's been tapped out multiple times. He only attempted 2 takedowns in that entire fight. Like, what are you doing, man? So I don't know. I feel like he's got to come in here hungry, looking for just the takedown, but I can't trust that guy. But when I was looking for lines, plus 200 or better, I was thinking maybe Gracie by submission is plus 200, but you're getting no juice at all with the submission. They're basically saying this is how he's going to win if he's going to win. So it's like the same as a money line. I think he's going to get it early if he gets it. So I think the round 1 would be the way to go. But I'm just going to stay away from that fight for all bets. Maybe I'll play it on DraftKings, but I do prefer the Gracie side.
Gotcha. What about you, Weezy? Any props on that one or?
Not touching that fight at all. I have no idea where Kron Gracie is. 2 fights in the last 7 years for Kron Gracie, and they both came in the year 2019. You know, this guy, come on, man. This is not something you show up once a month to do. You know,
it's very telling the under is so juiced too.
Yeah, I know, dude. And the analytics hate the under, but it's all what people are seeing with their eyes, and I can't blame them. It's so easy to see this fight as either Kron gets, a takedown and a submission, or he gets knocked out.
Yeah. All right, Weezy, you're up next. What do you got? Number 2.
All right. We're going to go with everybody's favorite polygamist, Zhalgas Zhumagulov, to win by decision here at plus 280 on FanDuel Sportsbook. Look, I watched the tape on Esteban. He's really good on top. When he gets takedowns, he will stay there. But that doesn't mean shit to me when you're fighting Brazilians, because Brazilians are just jiu-jitsu players who love being on their back and playing jiu-jitsu. So when you're on that Brazilian regional scene and you show great control time, oftentimes you come to the UFC and you're not going to see them get that same amount of control time that they did on the Brazilian regional scene when their opponents were willing to look for omoplatas and triangles off their back. Zhalgas has faced guys like Amir Albazi. And if you go back and you watch that fight, Albazi doesn't even really try to get him down much in the first and the second round. He gets a takedown early in the fight. Zhalgas gets right back up. And then the second time in the third round, he gets a takedown, puts Zhalgas' back flat on his mat, on the mat, keeps him there for a good minute, but he gets right back up again. I don't think this guy Esteban is on Albazi's wrestling level, and that fight was close. I think Zhalgas is going to win the minutes at range, and I think he's going to make it very difficult for Esteban to take him down, and I think that he's going to wind up getting a greasy split decision win here.
Yeah, his split decision is plus 1,100, and that's one that I was going to give out on this show because, like, don't you just feel like he's fucking due?
Yeah.
He's just like...
And the haircut says it too. He knows. He's like, I'm changing the haircut to try to get that Patty Pimblett love. It's pretty clear that's the only reason he would get that haircut.
I don't know if you know this, but Brady showed me something last night so Brady posted the haircut thing.
Yeah.
Zhalgas Zhumagulov liked the post.
I know. I saw it, dude. I even went through the likes did he really like this? And he did.
Yeah. All right, Marley, you have anything on that fight, or are you kind of? I imagine from DraftKings it's either Esteban or nothing.
Yeah, for the most part, I would say that's right. And I liked Zhalgas more before I saw that haircut, but man, look good, feel good, fight good. But what if you look bad? you feel bad, you fight bad, right? So I kind of like Estevam, mostly for DraftKings though, because I don't know that he can have the success he had in the regional scene against Zalgis. But if he can, he's got to be going for takedowns at all times in this fight. And if he can get them, I like what I saw on the ground. So I did pick Estevam to get the win. I think he can win by submission or just kind of grind out 2 or 3 rounds. But if he's failing on his takedown attempts, I feel like it's going to be all Zalgis. And I would worry about him TKOing him at some point if Estevam can't get the takedowns. I just don't know that he can hang with him on the feet. There's not enough footage of him striking, but that just tells me he's probably not very good. So I would think that Zalgis has an even bigger edge on the feet than Estevam does on the ground. But if it's like a back and forth, Estevam wins round 1, Zalgis wins round 2, I would think it probably leans into Zalgis's favor for round 3 as well. So I don't really have any strong lean on that fight. I just hate the haircut. So made me feel better about Estevam.
I mean, lost in all this is his beard is crappy too. Like, just
Oh yeah,
want to get that out of there. But all right, Marley, you're up next. Since Weezy and I,
all right, I'm gonna go and
I have the
fight
same
order
one for that one. So go ahead.
I'm gonna go in fight order. We got Phil Hawes by TKO plus 350. This Ikram guy, I think he looked good, getting fights to the ground. He looked good once the fights were on the ground, but Phil Hawes is a very good wrestler. I don't know that he can get Phil Hawes to the ground, especially early. And I think early is when Phil Hawes is going to have the biggest striking edge in this fight. We saw Ikram get deaded by Chimaev when they fought, and Hawes has big time power as well. I think he could put him away really at any point, but I would expect it to be round 1 or round 2 if it's going to happen. Both guys can kind of slow down. Hawes has a terrible chin himself, but Ikram isn't a great striker, so I'm not as worried about that as I usually would be in a Hawes fight. I don't know. I think Hawes can keep this fight on the feet and have the edge there, and I don't know that Ikram can handle his power. So give me Hawes by TKO plus 350.
This is why I write down a lot of props, since now you and Weezy have both taken one of mine. So I want to just add to that. On FanDuel, round 1, round 2 KO for Hawes is plus 420. If you want a little bit, a couple of cents extra. I feel like if this thing hits the 3rd round, like, we're fucked. Like, there's any result at that point is possible. DQ is possible. I don't trust Hawes' cardio. I definitely don't trust Ilskarov's cardio. He might be able to get takedowns on Hawes at that point, and then, like, I don't know. But I have a tracked bet on the fight ending in KO at minus 105. But I also have a tracked bet on the Hawes side. I do like Hawes here a lot. Weezy, where are you on this one? Do you have a prop? Are you staying far away?
No, I've got the Hawes money line actually at plus 175. I got that yesterday. Man, yeah, dude. I mean, like, I bet Ali Skarov against Mario Sosa. I remember parlaying him at like something like absurd, like minus 400 or something. I'm like, man, he's gonna destroy Sosa. But dude, I mean, like, Hawes can actually wrestle, and the fact that you can dog walk Dennis Tialulin for 3 rounds is great. But man, the one thing that when we did Stat Diggers, I hadn't seen the Nishan Burrell fight, and then Dan Best Fight Pick sent me that link. And then I watched it, and I'm like, man, he barely out wrestled Burrell, and he looked tired in the 3rd round. I'm like, man, if he looks like that against Hawes, he's gonna get the shit beaten out of him.
And Burrell took it on short notice too.
Ali Skarov did.
Burrell did.
Oh my God, did he really? Damn, dude.
Like a week's notice.
Whew. Yeah, I mean, this guy Ali Skarov is good, but like, I mean, if he's not getting Hawes to the ground, Hawes is not going to look plus 175. I promise you. He'll probably look more like minus 150, minus 200. So, yeah, I like the Hawes side on this one. I've got a track bet on him. But the next one that I'm going to give you is Braxton Smith, round 1 knockout, plus 370 on Bet Rivers. It's his only win condition. The guy's got about 2 minutes of gas. He's not a real mixed martial artist. The guy knocks people out. It's what he does. Even when you see him throwing punches, you're like, shit, man. If your Uncle Weezy got in the gym for about a week, I'd probably look better than Braxton Smith on the feet. I'm just not built like a refrigerator. I've met Kyle. Kyle, am I built like a refrigerator? No. I mean, I'm tall, fairly thick, but I'm not 6 feet thick like Braxton Smith. So I'm just taking him by his own only win condition here. If this fight goes past 3 or 4 minutes, I think Braxton Smith's done.
I think I still want Pork Chop to be his nickname. I still think it's been. I think there's an old wrestler, Pork Chop Cash. So I think Pork Chop's what we could bring back. But Marley, you have any prop on this one? Because I absolutely have a prop on this one.
No, I don't have a prop. I haven't even really looked at the props on that one, but I'm going to be all over it on DraftKings. That's my favorite DraftKings fight of the week. Both sides of it, I want to be heavy on, but I'm picking Porter just because, as Weezy mentioned, that Braxton Smith first round TKO is his only win condition, and I don't like backing first round knockout or bust fighters, so I got to lean with the more well-rounded fighter in Porter, but he could absolutely get blasted at any point in that first round, so I don't hate the line you got there.
All right. Before I give my prop for this one, I need to pull this guy up now. Okay, so Porter has just pissed me off for so long. We've been blindly betting this round 2 submission prop. I don't know why. I hate it. The guy does nothing when he's on top. He's killing me. But I don't think Braxton Smith has more than 3 minutes of cardio. The prop that Weezy gave away is great. Plus 370 is awesome for literally what I think is his money line. You have to go back to 2011 for the last time that Porter won in round 1. Okay? So he doesn't win in round 1. On FanDuel, Parker Porker's round 2, round 3 KO is plus 850. And I'm all over it. And it's a good way. You can bet that and Braxton Smith round 1 plus 380. And I think you probably covered. The only thing I'd be worried about here is if he taps to like exhaustion. Like he could tap the strikes if Porter gets on top of him. I think that's certainly in play. But I mean, losing to Sherman and then Porter 8 years later or 9 years later is kind of like an awesome career. Like if you only did 3 movies and they were The Matrix, you could retire and be like, well, dude, I did 3 awesome movies. If he has 2 losses and they're to Chase Sherman and Porker, I think that's it's a solid career. You bookend your career with those losses and you call it a day. So Porker, been betting on you round 2 for goddamn forever. Get me that bag. All right, I can take the banner off now. All right, sorry. By the way, having this banner that I made weeks ago already paid off like tremendous dividends. Our legal team, you guys are protected.
We got the best legal team in on all of MMA Twitter and YouTube right here at the MMA Engine. We're very proud of that.
We got Barry Zuckerkorn. He's very
good. He's very good. You guys, if you get a chance to have that man represent you, if you're ever in trouble, you check out Barry Zuckerkorn. He's very, very good.
I don't know whose turn it is. It's one of your turns. So whoever wants to go, just.
I have one. All right, we're getting into the main card for me. I like Drew Dober by TKO in round 1 at plus 250. Fravola's, I think he's live in this fight if he mixes in his takedowns. I think if he can wrestle in each round, he can win this fight. His striking isn't bad offensively either. It's just he's so hittable early in that first round, and Dober has big time power. Dober's got a granite chin. I just think Dober knocks him out early in this fight in the first 2 minutes. So I'm all over Dober and DraftKings because of that, and I think that his TKO line's not much better. I mean, I guess it's plus 120 or minus 120, something like that. So it's not bad. But plus 250, I think his most likely round to get that knockout is going to be in round 1. That's good for me. I'm cool with the plus 250. So Dober, knockout early, and it could be violent.
How much? I mean, I know you can't reveal all your trade secrets to us, but how much Favola are you looking for to play? Because he does have upside if he goes grappling heavy. Like, he can't be ignored, and he's cheap.
I don't know. I do. I have 50 lineup. I only did my first build on DFS Army, so I really don't know what my percentages are yet. I'm going to end up changing them by the end of the week. But Favola's in my player pool. I just know that he's towards the bottom of my player pool, so probably like a 10% type of player. But I'd be fine going up to 20 on Favola. More so because I know I'm going to have a lot of Dober, so it'd be like a hedge on Favola. Because I mean, lately it's been rough out in the DraftKings streets lately, so I can use some hedges because my picks haven't been the greatest.
I do think I'm not going to give it out on the show, but I was looking at his decision prop early in the week because it was like plus 800 at something like plus 680. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
kind of interesting. But Weezy, you have any props on that one or?
Yeah, I mean, I like Dober to win, and I think that he wins in round one. I know that both times Frivola's been knocked out at the UFC level came in round one. And, I just think that thing is going to go under. But, I mean, who cares? It's minus 350 for fight doesn't go to decision. I think everybody's on the same page there that one's going to be an absolute banger. So I don't really have any props for that one. I was looking, for Gracie Jordan, I want to highlight right now the over 2.5 is at plus 160. 8 of Charles Jourdain's 10 UFC fights have went over 2.5 rounds, and one of 2 for Kron Gracie. So that's 75% of their combined fights have went over the 2.5 round mark. You're only paying 38% on the implied probability of the line. So it's one of the most underpriced overs I've seen in a very long time in the 3 metric comparisons that my prop template looks at. We're getting a 22.5% break, a 36.5% break, and a 14% break. It's like one of the biggest trifecta bets that has ever taken place. So if you're willing to be the contrarian, if you got some big balls, and you want to say, I think this fight goes over 12 and a half minutes, you're getting handsomely paid to make that bet. And if Kron Gracie doesn't get Jordan's back in the first round, I suggest you go back and watch that Cub Swanson fight against Kron. Kron's got a chin, dude. So I think he might be able to last 2.5 rounds. I don't know if I'll have the balls to make that bet, but the analytics love it.
Yeah, I mean,
my official prediction in that fight is Jourdain by decision. That's not going to do you a whole lot of good on DraftKings, so that's why I prefer Kron Gracie as my DraftKings play. But I do think that Jourdain can stuff the takedowns and just keep it standing. Kron can take the punishment, so I like that. I like the play.
I'm looking this up right now because just to go with what Weezy had said, I want to see what fight starts round 3 is. It's plus 120. It's not as good, but if you're nervous and you do want to make a plus money bet, that's not a bad look either.
Yeah, the analytics like that one as well. I mean, still 75% of their fights have started round 3, so it's a good look for sure.
All right, how many props do you guys each have left?
I have 2, including the main event.
Perfect. Weezy?
Yeah, I only had 1, but I know what I'm going with on the main event, but it's not a big money prop.
That's not what we're. All right, Marley, you and I each have 1 left. Go ahead. What's your next prop that you have?
Then we'll all right, next one. Let's go with the co-main event. I like Belal Muhammad by decision plus 200. I just think that if this fight does go to the distance, which both these guys are hard to finish, so I do think it goes the distance. I just think that favors Belal, especially in a 5-round fight. I think the longer this goes, the more it's going to favor Belal. I see him being the aggressor on the feet, pushing forward. Burns has more explosiveness and power, and he's more live for the finish, whether that be a knockout or a submission here. But Bilal's tough to finish, man. I think that he's going to be mixing in takedowns. I think he can land 3 takedowns in this fight and also land more strikes on the feet, being the one pushing forward, controlling the octagon. So I like Belal Muhammad to win 3 or 4 rounds in this one. So I'm cool with the money line, but plus 200 by decision is how I see it going down.
Well, my last prop is on that fight, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a different look. I think Belal can get him out of there late. I do. I don't think Burns is super cut out for 5-round fights. I think he will gas. And on the feet, look, I know Sean Brady's not like the best striker on the roster, but my God, that was a levels game with Belal. He was landing everything. His boxing looked good. The only time Bilal's boxing hasn't looked good was against Leon Edwards, and there's really no shame in that. I think he's going to have a power advantage. He's a lot stronger. He's gotten better and better, and he's gotten stronger and stronger over the years. Like, I think it's an underrated part of his game. I do think Belal decision is the most likely outcome. However, I can't ignore this. On FanDuel, Belal round 3, 4, 5 KO is plus 1,200. I don't think he submits Gilbert Burns here. If he wins, it's ground and pound or it's on the feet. But plus 1,200 for him to get a KO after the second round, I couldn't ignore it. it's, that gets me out of bed. Plus 1,200's solid. Weezy, you have anything for that fight that you like?
So for me, it's a bit of a 1-800 gambler fight, and here's why. We've got two really experienced guys that we've got a ton of tape on, but the problem is there's a couple of little narrative things with this fight. Bilal Muhammad just coming off of Ramadan. Now, that's probably not a big deal.
It's the best base.
What's that?
It's the best base for MMA, apparently.
It's a very good base for MMA, but like he asked for the fight to be at 175. They said no. So now he's cutting to 170. So he clearly didn't want to make the cut to 170 for this. And but I mean, we know that Bilal's been doing this, for a long time. Bilal's got a 10-year MMA career. He's been doing Ramadan fasting every year. So probably not a big deal. But Gilbert Burns, 2 fights, 2 weight cuts in a 4-week period. I just don't know if he's going to look his best. So because of the fasting situation for Bilal, because of 2 fights, 2 weight cuts in a 4-week period for Burns, I feel like fight doesn't go to decision is the best way to look at this one. We could see both of these guys not necessarily at their best, not like you would expect to see them in any other 5-round fight. That's the co-main event on a pay-per-view card. I don't necessarily know if either of these guys are going to look their best. So fight doesn't go to decision at plus 115. Looking pretty good to me. And the analytics like it too. It's underpriced just a little bit based on all 3 of the metrics that I compare.
Yeah, Burns definitely has early finish equity. And, whereas, like I said, I agree with Marley that Bilal's most likely path is decision. I do think Burns can gas out, especially with what you're saying. This is the second weight cut in a month. I do think Bilal has late finish equity. But let's get to the main event. Henry Cejudo against Aljamain Sterling. Absolutely great fight. Very excited here. Weezy, start us off. What is your pick and preferred method?
For the main event, you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. I like Henry Cejudo here. I don't know if he gets Sterling out of there. I would say that my pick is going to be Cejudo by decision. We've seen some of these guys' fights. Sterling has had 2 of his 3 5-round fights finish inside the distance. And for Cejudo, it's 4 of 5 at the UFC level of his 5-round fights that have finished inside the distance. So 75% of these guys' 8 combined 5-round UFC fights have finished inside the distance. And we're only paying 48.5% here. So I kind of like the fight doesn't go, but I do like Cejudo here. And here's why. Sterling is a fantastic submission grappler, but Cejudo is 10 times the wrestler that Aljamain Sterling is, plain and simple. If Peter Yan goes 8 for 8 on takedowns against you, imagine how easy Henry Cejudo is going to be able to take this guy down if he's looking like the old Henry Cejudo. So if there's any point on the feet where Henry doesn't like how it's going, he's going to take Aljo down and hold him there. So, yeah, and I saw that, Brady, that Cejudo said that shit. And, I was like, man, I like the fact that he's confident here. And I kind of agree with him. I think Aljo is actually really easy money for the old Henry Cejudo, the one that showed up for the last fight 3 years ago. And that's why I'm not betting this fight, because even though I like Cejudo, it's a 3-year layoff. He's a 35-year-old, 36-year-old bantamweight, maybe even flyweight, really, right? So, yeah, I'm not betting it, but I do like the Cejudo side, and I do like the violent side, even though I kind of think Cejudo wins this by decision.
All right, one for Cejudo. Marley, what do you got for the main event?
I'm on the other side. I like Aljo in this one, and I like him inside the distance at plus 300. More specifically, submission if you want an even better number, like plus 420. I'm not expecting to see the same Henry Cejudo we saw 3 years ago. Yeah. And 3 years ago, he beat Dominic Cruz and Marlon Moraes. I'm also thinking those wins are just a little bit overrated. I do think Henry's great, but it's also, the last, 3 or 4 fights where his striking has looked great. Before that, his striking was really nothing special. After 3 years off, what's it going to look like here? I got to go with the guy who's younger, stronger, faster, longer, taller. I think he's going to be the better grappler. So if Cejudo gets Aljo down, I don't think it's that much of a worry. But if Aljo gets Cejudo down, I think he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So give me Aljo to flatten him out at some point, take a rear naked choke or get a TKO ground and pound victory in this one. I think that the value's on Aljo with this 3-year layoff. And if this was the same Henry Cejudo, no time off, he's going to look the exact same. I think then we're talking about the line being correct. But I just don't know how you can think he's going to be better after 3 years off. So I got to favor Aljo to win this more than 50% of the time.
All right. The panel split. So I have a different look on this. I'm on the Cejudo side. But I battled with this all week. So sometimes, when you're a gambler, when you're a capper or whatever the hell I am, sometimes you get the moment of clarity later in the week. So the one thing that I'm realizing, because I keep thinking about Cejudo's layoff, but there's two things that are going to make me not care as much. Number one is how involved he's been with Fight Ready. The guy's constantly involved, kind of like Faber is. He's just constantly involved in the game. It's not like he stepped away to go sell copper wire some shit for a year. He's been completely active. And number two, he's probably the most intelligent fighter ever. Liam said something last night that really resonated with me. All these guys that he's fought, including Mighty Mouse, they ask Henry Cejudo his opinion. They ask him strategy. You don't think this guy's been game planning for Sterling for probably 2 years, even just to do it in his head? I feel like he's been thinking about these kind of moments for a long time. He's also a guy that likes to pick his spots. He probably waited. He's like, you know what? This is a champion I think I can beat. I think the one thing that troubles me about Sterling that we've seen is he can slow down. I don't care about the Dillashaw fight. Dillashaw came in compromised. I don't give a shit. Him beating him by KO early was not an all-star performance. The second fight against Jan, I thought he fought well, but again, he slowed down. You do not want to slow down against Cejudo. I think Cejudo is going to be able to hit harder. Cejudo,
how do you know that you can't slow down against Cejudo now, though? 36-year-old Cejudo who hadn't fought in 3 years, who definitely hadn't gone, 5 hard rounds against the best in the world.
Because I have the script.
I'm just guessing. We're all guessing here is the thing on this fight.
Well, I have the script, so I already know. But if Sterling does tire and Cejudo's all right, his round again, just like Bilal, round 3, round 4, round 5 KO is plus 900 for Cejudo. But I will say that if you said you like Sterling sub, right, Marley?
Yeah. Inside the distance was my actual prop pick. But if you want a better number, I like him to get a submission. I just don't know. Once you flatten somebody out, they're both available. I don't know which one he wants to take, but that's how I see it going.
I like ending on a flourish. So Sterling round 5 submission I believe is it's an insane number. Oh, that was Cejudo's, but his round 5 submission is plus 3,500 for Aljamain Sterling. So it does pay more. So I always enjoy that. But that covers the main card. Now we get to my favorite part of the show. It's time for the Yam Bag special. If you're watching for the first time, number one, shame on you. And number two, we're betting on a point deduction. It can be a kick in the sack. It can be an eye poke. It could be a cage grab. The only thing it can't be is something that happens when Mark Smith is reffing. Because this dude refuses to take points. He knows that I'm building an empire on this crap. So anyway, Weezy, I will start with you. Uh-oh, I see. Please tell me this is not.
I hope that's fake news, but I don't know, man.
I'm looking up right now.
Yeah, we'll find out. I'm gonna just take the easiest one ever. The king of the Yam Bag shot, Kennedy and Nchekwu.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Weezy. Marcel 1 minute ago, Daniel Santos versus Johnny Munoz Jr. has been canceled.
Damn,
I had a money line on that, and that was my first prop that I gave out.
I can't believe I have no bets on it because I tell you, every fight that I have the most action on, it gets canceled every goddamn week. So I'm surprised that I have no bets on that fight.
I had a sizable bet on that fight. You know what? This is what happens when you say we still have 14 fights. It's all right. All right.
So with Nchekwu, you got a guy whose fingers are actually 1.5 feet long, and he always is just sticking them out there using his length. So he will poke dudes in the eyes. Devin Clark's going to be spamming takedown attempts. He could easily grab the fence here, and it's southpaw versus orthodox. Kennedy Nchekwu has had his nuts used as a speed bag by Darko Stosic in the past, and he's landed his own nut shots, his own eye pokes. he was absolutely. I mean, I think Nikolai Negamariano is blind now after their fight. So yeah, man, that's the king of the yam bag right there. It's and if it's at 20-1 on DraftKings, that is a great line.
It should be minus 120 for a county fight. All right, Marley. Marley, I'm very excited when somebody breaks down a yam bag fight for the first time. I still remember the glee in Lucrative's eye when he's like, oh, wait, there's a way I can break this down. I love it. What do you got for us, Marley?
How about this? You go first because I got two in mind. I stole your play on Hawes TKO, so you go first, and I'll take the one that you don't use.
Okay, well, I like the Hawes Ikram fight, and simple reason, I don't like betting fights that I think, especially like a juiced under. I don't typically like doing yam bag fights for that, but as Weezy and I have discussed many times at the yam bag science course that we offer here, it's Southpaw versus Orthodox. You're also going to have a fight where the grappling is going to come into play with Ikram trying. There could be cage grabs. Kicks to the sack are always in play here. And you also have a guy in Hawes that does tend to gas. If he's trying to get taken down late, that's when the cage grab really becomes a viable thing. So give me oh shit. You know what? I'm very unprofessional, guys. There we go. I meant to put that up there. It's important that everybody knows the last one. It's like, last time we had an accident, 2 weeks ago. It's important for people to know the last yam burger that's been hit on the show. All right, that's my yam bag shot. Marley, what do you got?
Yeah, I think that we got the best three then that you could get on this card. I'll go with Parker Porter versus Braxton Smith. Braxton Smith, he's just going to be grabbing all sorts of cages if he can. If Parker Porter grabs a hold of him, the first thing he's going to do is grab a cage. So I like that one. I was originally going to go with the Kennedy and Chekwu because you kind of gave it to us in the DMs. And then I watched that fight and I was like, you know what? I'm going to let one of you guys have it if you want. I like this Braxton Smith guy to grab the cage. So that's my yam bags of the week. And I mean, he's not a real martial artist, as Weezy mentioned. So might get some nut kicks in there. He kicks a lot. So you might get a hard nut kick on the Porter too.
I'd like you to know that my dear friend and comedian Mike's MMA Picks has already commented on my tweet, and he let us know these are words you should all live by. Stay the course, Lou. Stay the course.
Yeah, stay the course, man.
This was a refrigerator fight for me. It is no longer. It's going to come off the refrigerator. That ends the card. I'd like to thank my guests, and then we'll give the final pick in a second. Love to thank my guests, Uncle Weezy, Kyle Marley. Weezy, tell the people what you're doing, where you're from, social security number, credit card number.
Yeah, man. You can call me at my personal phone number, 773. Listen, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Uncle Weezy. You can find me right here on the MMA Engine YouTube channel, and you can find me on Pub Sports Radio, always talking about statistics relating to the MMA game. Join the Patreon. We got great stats going out every week for very cheap for people who are professional gamblers, and a lot of professional gamblers, a lot of the people that you see on YouTube subscribe to my Patreon because I've got the best stats package going. So check that out and leave the thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We really appreciate everybody that tunes in to watch.
Those are great words that I enjoyed immensely. Marley, tell the people about your ventures, everything you did this week, last week, everything else.
Yeah, we just finished up the kill shot over on DFS Army on YouTube. You can find me and Monk and Kevin Allen, the owner of DFS Army, on that each week, breaking down the cards. Also, DFSArmy.com if you want to sign up. We have the optimizer. We have all the tools for all the sports that you would want for DFS. That's the only site I've been using. I've tried out all the packages, and I'm down to just DFS Army these days. Then you can find my bets. I also handicap every fight. You can find that over at BigMarleyMMA.com. I appreciate you having me on.
I think Kevin and I are going to have to do a show one of these days. I'm going to have to. I know I can break him. I can break him comically when he does a show. So I'd like to see him try to break me. Well, it's a busy day for me on the channel. Starting off with this 10 o'clock tonight, the Horseman Ride. Gordo is not around. Narco Cop will be making his first appearance on the channel as his substitute. I have Narco Wiz and Liam breaking down the car with me. After that, I'm recording the Same Game show with Johnny K. Picks and Brady. I'll release that tomorrow morning. And guys, let's end it with some picks for the Derby. Give us your horse. You don't have to give any reasons because none of us are probably good at this. Weezy, give us the pick, brother.
Yeah, let me just say that I used to go to the track all the time back in high school. Used to cut class, go with my friend Dave. We read the racing form in school and then cut out after fourth period, head to Arlington Park, which is now going to be torn down and made the new Chicago home of your Chicago Bears. So that now that there's no more track by me, I don't, there's no reason for me to go. So I have no idea, but I saw the name Rocket Can. And I love that because it reminds me of Tomato Can and Rocket Man. And so I think it's a good name, 30-1. I think maybe even some money came in and might be 15-1. That's your Uncle Weezy's pick with absolutely no research behind it.
All right. 50 units on Rocket Can for
Let's
Weezy.
go.
Marley, what do you got for your horse? I know we talked about it a little bit, but let's see what you go with.
Yeah, I'm going to go with just my favorite name. I looked through the names, then I looked through the odds. I got a 20-1 for you. Confidence Game, because everything that we're doing right here is kind of all about confidence, man. If you lost 3 cards in a row, your confidence is going to be down. You're not going to be feeling your plays very well. But when you hit 3 cards in a row, you're coming in thinking you're God, and that's all this is, a confidence game. So give me Confidence Game to win the Derby.
All right, so I'm going to give an exacta because there's 2 horses that I like here. I'm going with the 10 spot in Practical Move, or whatever the goddamn horse's name is. Pretty sure that's what it was. Sorry, I had this written down. Yeah, Practical Move, the 10 slot. And as an hour ago, the Practical Move has been scratched from the Kentucky Derby. What the fuck is happening, dude? Okay, well, I'm no longer giving you an exacta, and that removes one of the horses I like the most. I'm playing Angel of Empire at 8-1. This horse is improved. Was Marley laughing at the Angel of Empire, or just my normal?
You can't catch a break with all these pullouts lately.
It's why we can't have nice things. I'm playing Angel of Empire. I wanted to go with one of the Pletcher horses, but I always pick the wrong one, so I'm just fading the Pletcher horse completely. I've been impressed with everything I've seen with this. Going with Angel of Empire at 8-1 odds, and I will do a better breakdown of this after the happy hour tomorrow. I'm going to kick Monk off the fucking show, and I'm going to do like a 10-minute breakdown of how I'm approaching the Derby. If you have like $30 to spend, I'll show you how to spend $30 and have some excitement with it. That's the key with these things. You don't have to spend a lot of money to have a good time with the Derby. It's awesome throwing in these Quinellas and all sorts of crazy old school terms. But thank you guys for being on here. Please go follow these guys at MMA Weezy, at Big Marley 3. Go follow DFS Army. They have great shit, especially for NFL football, which is right around the corner. And we will see you next week for another episode of Props to Consider, and then maybe bet. Take care, guys.